Drawn to Fear presents Lost Reality, Part 1. For I knew that the King in Yellow had opened his tattered mantle, and there was only God to cry to now. Robert W. Chambers, The King in Yellow. It was early evening when Ted finally had time to plug in. The monotonous duties he performed daily at the factory served to feed his nightly ritual involving the massive ingestion of carbs, energy drinks, and an insane amount of time plugged into the virtual landscape of the engine. Tonight's experience promised to be more exciting than usual, at least, and Ted savored every moment. Ted approached the package he discovered at his doorstep with awe. Ordered over 4 months ago, the virtual reality system promised to be the most revolutionary, immersive experience ever released, utilizing the latest technology in altered perception and tailored memory. Tapping directly into a person's consciousness to offer personalized vacations and experiences was a technology that had been around for over a decade. But the technology involved for such an immersive, all-encompassing virtual reality experience had previously been unobtainable for home use. Being truly indistinguishable from reality, having the experience in the privacy of your own home, much less with a barely noticeable headset being the only restriction, promised to be revolutionary. As Ted settled in, preparing his snacks and giving the instruction manual a cursory glance, Ted texted the others that he was about ready to log on. He knew at least John and Maria had received theirs yesterday, but had promised to hold off until everyone could join in. Ernst and Harris were scheduled for delivery today, like Ted. The anticipation created a sensation of butterflies in Ted's stomach as he patiently waited for everyone to join the waiting room, a generic virtual space devoid of most features except animated avatars of the players expected to link in. These areas were found all over the engine, the virtual landscape the internet evolved into long ago, almost like virtual carpool parking, allowing for shared experience gaming, browsing, or even setting up meetings. Virtual reality devices utilized the space, including Ted's new gaming system. As Ted finished off his first energy drink, he examined the insert for the virtual reality system, which contained a list of included games. Ted read through the categories as he began to feel a strange scratching sensation on his leg. Glancing down, he saw a fairly average house spider creep its way northerly at a casual pace. The startled man swiped at the creature with a ferocity typically reserved for life and death situations. Savagely defeated, the mangled corpse lay on the floor in a small pool of its bodily fluids as Ted looked on heroically. Granted, this latest conquest was not likely to be shared with the group. It did, however, spark his interest in one category. Under the genre of horror was the game Lost Reality, and it promised the gamer would be plunged into the depths of insanity and beyond. Typical sales hyperbole, of course, but it was as good a place as any to start. With a shrill beep coming through Ted's earpiece attachment, the virtual environment changed from a dim light shading out the living room and transformed into a fully realized hotel lobby, complete with receptionist. The animated avatars of Ted's friends quickly rendered into nearly identical representations that, from a small distance away at least, passed for the real people. Ernst was the first to speak. "Holy shit, this is unbelievable shit, Ted, wow!" Maria just laughed, both from the sensation of this new virtual experience as well as Ernst's typical eloquence. The two had briefly dated years ago, an event neither liked to recall, and when pressed, both often insisted mind control or substance abuse was to blame for any initial attraction. "You guys have absolutely no idea how hard it was to wait. I swear I was itching for this all day." John's excitement and wonder matched Maria's, whose willpower was equally tested. "So what's first? I hope we've got something better than some shooter." Maria followed up quickly, already looking through a virtual kiosk displaying the various games. Harris quickly agreed. "Can we skip the first-person games this time? Last thing I need to do is trip over my table again and break another light." "Harris, this is why most people move out of their parents' house and stay out when they're almost 30. Maria taunted, knowing the others loved a good joke at Harris's expense. "I've got something sweet in mind, a total mindfuck that should really show us what this thing can do." Ted had the group in the palm of his hand, and he knew it. Secretly, however, Ted worried that he oversold the experience. Ted made his way over to the receptionist, a host application capable of answering basic questions to ensure a more enjoyable experience. The receptionist wore an odd mustard yellow outfit that made him stand out quite deliberately from the surroundings. The receptionist's appearance shifted slightly, giving him Asian features to mimic the ethnicity of Ted, the first to approach. The receptionist was tall and held an eager smile on his face as he welcomed Ted and his friends to approach. In a hushed voice, Ted asked the receptionist if his choice in game, Lost Reality, would live up to expectations. "My dear friend, you will be nothing short of amazed at the sheer horror you will unlock by entering the Lost Reality environment." As the receptionist spoke, doors began to appear in a semicircle around Ted and his friends. Above each door was a title of one of the games, floating and illuminated in the style of each genre. Maria was obviously impressed as she exclaimed, "Nice!" Her excitement was matched by everyone else as they approached the first door, the ominously lit in red, Lost Reality. Ted glanced back to the receptionist, both excitement and apprehension reflected in his expression. The receptionist merely grinned and motioned for Ted to reach out, grasp the handle, and enter the room. Before Ted could even turn, John eagerly pushed to the front, grasping the handle, and entered. Everything went white, blinding the group temporarily as the new environment came to life. Standing before a massive dining room table, the group looked around in shock and awe. What once had been a fairly realistic lobby was now replaced with an unbelievably realistic 19th century mansion, complete with cobwebs, glowing candles, and a fireplace. They could swear to the warmth emanating from the fireplace. The simulation was so authentic. As they moved about the room, gently touching the various items, everyone grew more excited, feeling surprised at the sensation of touch, but without true substance. The sensations routed to their brain made the experience as realistic and amazing as advertised. Ernst reached for Ted's arm, the hand feeling a sensation of touch without the resistance of true physicality. Ted recoiled, shocked at having the sensation transmitted to himself, and both giggled with glee. "Hey, someone's at my door. Can we put this on pause?" John asked, looking about the ceiling as if expecting the voice of God to answer. Shared reality environments will continue, even if one player exits the game. Major story developments and scene changes will be paused for up to 5 minutes, allowing players to resume at the same point, and you are always able to rejoin the game at any point later should you exit for longer than 5 minutes. The voice of the receptionist startled the group, but the ease of information and the sheer newness of the game left grins on everyone as John's avatar seemingly paused and became translucent like a ghost. A few moments went by when John's avatar once more solidified. His vision went from a flash of light to Ernst standing nose to nose, a large malevolent smile across his face. John fell back, flailing at the now laughing Ernst. Harris and Ted both laughed uproariously as Maria assured John that it could have been much worse. Ernst eagerly shook his head in the affirmative. "Did you order pizza? I wonder if we could get a virtual taste." Ted joked, but John merely shrugged. No one was at the door, so the game continued. Entering the first room, the light began to dim as candle after candle became extinguished. An eerie sensation came across all of them as they felt eyes watching from the dark. An eerie light was seen in the distance as their eyes adjusted. The room was a long hallway filled with doors, each with the name of one of the group. Maria turned and was the first to speak. "Okay, that's crazy. They must get the names off the user registration." "Nice touch," Ted replied, before they could reach for their respective handles. John shouted out, "Damn it! It's the freaking door again!" "Seriously? It's probably some damn kid," Ted exclaimed with exasperation. "No, I gotta look. My neighbor has dementia. She's always forgetting where she lives. I'll be right back." John's avatar paused, and everyone agreed. A bathroom break was in order. Ted paused his game, his vision blinded with a flash, slowly returned as blurry objects continued resolving into the shapes and forms of his living room. "Holy shit, that's awesome!" Ted stretched his legs. In the game, his desire to move forward gave the avatar momentum and direction. But in reality, he remained positioned as he was when the game started. Ted thought to remind himself to pick a more comfortable position after he takes a piss. Ted eagerly finished urinating and went to activate the water when another spider crawled out of the faucet, almost landing on his palm. Ted recoiled in horror as he reached for a bottle of soap. The spider, decidedly larger than the last one, appeared to stand firm against Ted's shriek. Ted summoned every ounce of courage he could and slammed the bottle down. Ted was certain that the gore pooling under the bottle was an inordinate amount for a simple spider, but didn't stick around longer to appreciate the slaying. Hesitantly, Ted descended the stairs to his couch. Each movement or motion in every shadow in his home was certain to have another arachnid, lurking, readying to pounce. Ted was also certain that his friends were right, and that he had a very active imagination. Either way, a call to the building's management was in order before more of the grotesque monstrosities showed. Ted called the building's superintendent. The man was hard-working, but cleanliness was never his priority when maintaining the apartments. The new family a floor below had already been overheard making similar complaints earlier in the week. After 2 short rings, the super's voicemail activated. Ted left a message, managing to only exaggerate the quantity and size of the ferocious attackers by 30% or so. A swarm sounded like paranoia, even to Ted, as he made his way to the couch and reactivated the game. Ted rejoined the game just as an axe came screaming towards his head. Ted dodged the virtual weapon, sensing the wind as it screamed by his face. Maria shouted with a laugh, "Damn, your timing is awesome! Now run!" To be continued in Part 2. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this Asylum Inc. presentation.